Okay. So coming from Ternate in Slovenia, what was your favorite, and well, now we know this, what was your favorite and least favorite scene in HBO's Game of Thrones?
My favorite scene, well, this, of course, I suppose everybody's seen the series now. I don't have to worry about giving things away. But my favorite scene had to be the end of episode 9, the execution of Ned. I thought they did that very powerfully. It was, not precisely as described in the books, but it was certainly moving and evocative. The director did a great job on it. The scriptwriters did a great job. They added a wonderful grace note, which is when Ned is being led up to the stairs where he sees Arya and he says to Yoren of the Night's Watch as he passes him, he says, Baelor, to set in motion Yoren saving Arya, which is not in the books. In the books, Yoren just spots her on his own and takes his own initiative. But it was a great idea to give that little moment, that one last kind of heroic act by Ned. So I love that. I love what they did with that moment. But there were a lot of great scenes that I love. The final scene with Dany, the season closing episode, which I was in considerable trepidation about because, how good were the dragons going to be? That's a big CGI thing. And where, it's a reality of television today. That television has become so good, and the technical standards of television have become so good, that a large portion of the audience is judging us on the basis of what they're seeing on major motion pictures. So we always have to run the risk of, if we do CGI, people will say, well, it's not as good as what I saw in Lord of the Rings or in the latest, big budget science fiction picture. And it's so frustrating because, of course, those shows have immensely more time than we do, and they have budgets that are 10, 20, 100 times our budget. And, there was a time when the audience made that distinction. They did not expect a chase scene on an episode of T.J. Hooker to match what they would see in Bullet or The French Connection or a major motion picture cop scene at the time. But now they do expect it, and it's a challenge for our special effects guys and our technical guys to live up to. We have a very sizable budget for a television show, but it's still a television budget, and it's not a feature film budget. So we're always having to wrestle with that. Least favorite scene, I don't know that I really have one. I suppose my least favorite scene that actually appeared on camera would be the hunting scene where Robert is boar hunting, because there was like Robert and Renly and Barristan were sort of tromping through the woods alone, and I talked to Dan and David and said, there should be like 100 other guys and horses and tents, and when the king goes hunting, it's not like, okay, I'm walking through the woods with a spear here. But and they don't disagree with that. I mean, they said, yeah, we would have liked all that stuff too, but once again, it's budget. We had an hour to shoot that scene, and our horse budget was exhausted for the season. So there we were. It's the realities. I mean, the great thing about writing books, as I do now, is that my budget is unlimited. I can write anything that I can think of, and I'm limited only by the size of my imagination and by the size of the imagination of my readers. But when you translate it to television and film, you have the realities not only of the budget, which I've mentioned, but also of the shooting schedule. You have to keep on schedule, and if you have a lot of trouble getting the scene you were supposed to shoot in the morning, that gives you less time to shoot the scene in the afternoon, but you can't slop over to the next day, or you start getting a rolling effect and you fall further and further behind your shooting schedule, and then you're more and more over budget, and it becomes a mess. So all of that impacts too. And this is all the kind of behind the scenes, technical stuff that really the viewers should not have to worry about. The viewers really should just have to view the final product. But nonetheless, for those of us concerned with behind-the-scenes stuff, it's a reality of life. The actual thing, I mean, for the most part, I loved all the scenes that were in the books that they translated to the TV show. I think they did all of those great. I also loved the vast majority of the new scenes that they did. If I have any quibbles with the show, and they are quibbles, very minor thing, it was the missing scenes, the scenes that weren't there at all. As I watched the show, frequently I would find myself thinking, oh, okay, now they're getting up to this scene. That's really good. They didn't have that scene. They skipped over that scene. And some of them were scenes that I had seen the actors do in auditions. They had been scenes that actually had helped the actors get their roles. So I really expected them, because I already knew, oh, the actor will do this great. I saw them do it in audition, sitting in a room in front of a curtain, and now I'm going to get to see him do it in costume on the set, and then, oh, it's not there. So I would have loved to have 2 more hours to have a 12-episode season instead of 10. And, of course, to have, an extra $50 million. But who of us wouldn't want an extra $50 million?